Welcome to The Author's Journey with #1 international best-selling author and in-demand publisher, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. Today, we'll showcase the works of an amazing best-selling author, find out the story behind their book, and explore ways to bring your message powerfully forward. Now, here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Honored to be connecting in with you on The Author's Journey. We would talk to amazing best-selling authors who have leaned in, said yes, taken all the steps to bring their books forward, and have had them received in such a way that they become bestsellers or above. And so today we have an amazing conversation that I'm just excited to share with you as we lean into talking with our guest who has been led to write a series of books. And she's going to share a little bit of that journey, what it's been like, and what she's discovered along the way. So very excited to introduce her to you, but I want you to take a moment and center, because I want you to get the most out of our time together today, because your time is precious. And I know that you are here on purpose, tuning in. I want you to receive everything that is here for you. So let's take a breath together. In through the nose, all the way to your toes, out through your mouth, like through a straw. Beautiful. Great. And as you're breathing in, really notice, take in, know that this is your time for you. And there's something here for you by the very nature that you are tuning in. So I invite you to take off the doing hat, all those things we try to do and accomplish and check off the list, and just relax into the conversation, open to receive. Sometimes it's helpful to take notes, those things that either are sparked by our conversation or bubble up within you. And at the end, we're going to let you know some great resources you can lean into, as well as how you can connect more deeply with our guest. So it's great to have that paper and pen handy so you can capture all of that information. And I hope that you enjoy meeting our beautiful guest. So with that, let me introduce Lois Hermann to you. She is a #1 international best-selling author multiple times over, a metaphysical, transpersonal, and board-certified hypnotherapist, an energy clearing and alignment expert, Reiki master teacher, and a multi-registered medical professional with extensive experience in corporate leadership and education. She is on a mission to help humanity awaken, connect, and move towards positive change. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Lois Hermann to the show. Welcome!
Yay! Thank you, Rebecca. I am delighted to be here, especially with you. One of the most amazing recipes for successful authors. I think that's probably one of my my biggest successes is in meeting Rebecca.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Lois. I'm deeply honored by that and excited to share you with all of our listeners as you share a little bit of your journey. And it has just been an honor and a privilege to be on the journey with you and see all of your books come forward and unfold, and kind of the ripple that's been created with them by you leaning in and saying yes and stepping forward. So I wanted to start with, for people who don't know you yet, do you mind sharing just a little bit about why you do the work that you do, a little bit about it, and why you were led to bring it forward in a book format too?
Well, I never considered myself an author or a writer. I am not a novel reader. I like to stress that my background is very medical, technical centric. So as I'm writing metaphysical books, that is one of those just say yes moments that have kind of led me down a very different path than I was originally plodding along. So it's fascinating how when you just say yes, life takes lots of twists and turns, and things happen that you never expected, and as a result, miracles happen. So I was led to write a series of books based on hypnosis sessions with a very amazing client who basically channeled very high-level spirits. And if, Rebecca, you wanted to talk to your guides or your angels, you could. I'm just the navigator here and taking notes and keeping you safe on your journey. He opened his eyes, looked me square in the face, and said, "We need your help to save humanity." And this was almost 6 years ago, before all the insanity started in our world. And at the time, I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll take notes. I'll do this. It's, we've got maybe 25 to 100 years before this is all going to unfold. And lo and behold, I've watched this stuff that they have told me was going to happen over these past couple of years. So I had to get their message out there. I was on a mission to bring hope to humanity. And that's where these books have come from, is just say yes and follow your guidance.
Thank you for sharing. I love that. And I'm thinking back to that moment when you think it's going to be a normal, quote unquote, session that you're doing and you're sitting, guiding, protecting, but allowing that, helping facilitate that connection. And you, in turn, get this message, this calling, and to say, we need your help. And you leaned in and said yes, even though it was a stretch. It wasn't what you thought it was about. And that it's led you to step into this space in so many different ways of bringing this information forward that is time sensitive, that is needed in the world, and really designed to make a difference. And I'm so curious, as you faced that moment, you said yes, and then you started to see these things happen much more quickly than you thought they would happen. And you kept leaning in and you keep bringing these books, this information forward. I'd love for you to share just a little bit of what you've learned, because I feel like there may be a listener out there that has had that calling in their way, and they've said yes, or they're thinking about saying yes, or not quite sure. Any suggestion, advice that you can give them around that with what you've learned?
Well, one thing that I've learned is when spirit moves you, you move. I took notes. I recorded the sessions, and then when it came time to write the journey, to actually write the books, I had no idea where to start. So I started somewhere. My inspiration is just start somewhere. Let your spiritual guidance system guide you to. It's almost like automatic writing. I'm going to just capture all this down. And then I shared it with a group of friends and asked their opinion, a diverse group of friends. And they gave me honest opinions about the first in the series. And so it helps to define how the book would look, feel, read, to be able to address all of these different people's needs, because this was kind of an odd thing to actually, for the, like someone who was a contractor, to be reading a book about spiritual channeling. So I made sure that I had a diverse audience, ones that might be interested, that were spiritually based, and then got their feedback and applied their feedback. And then my actual time that I wrote, because I've been very, very, very busy, but my writing time was between 3 and 5 in the morning. I would wake up in the middle of the night with an inspired thought, and then I would try to go back to sleep, and I couldn't. My mind would just ruminate, and then I finally said, "Foot, I'm going to get up and start writing." So I would get up and just pour my thoughts onto paper between 3 and 5. About 5 o'clock, I'd be, okay, I'm done. I'd go back to bed, take a little nap between 5 and 7, wake up and start my day. And then when I would reflect back on the writing that I had done, I'm thinking, oh, this is pretty good. Where did that come from? So a lot of people I've heard say, I've always wanted to write a book, but I don't have time. I don't know where to start. Start from your heart. Start from your heart. Let your guides connect with your guides, your angels, your Jesus, your God, whatever guide is your inspiration, and then allow them to speak, to work with you and through you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that, because I do hear that people often say, I don't have time. They have the calling. They feel like they have something that could help, they're called to bring something forward, and then trying to find the rhythm, the way to do that. So I love how you listened and followed and just did that. You just carved that out and you were consistent and kept showing up. And I think we make it harder than we need to. I love how you're saying connect in and start at the heart and just start. So good. We are getting ready to go to our first commercial break. And as we do that, listeners, I want you to take a moment and check in with your heart. Are you feeling that prompting? Are you feeling it's time to start bringing this information, your insight, the messages you're receiving forward, and just feel in and see? Don't have to do the how yet. This is just checking in and seeing, and we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Join Rebecca Hall Gruyter every week for her new podcast, The Author's Journey. Spend some time getting to know best-selling expert authors, discuss and listen to their journey, and find out what works for them and what hasn't. If you're an aspiring author, you'll want to hear their amazing tips that help you in your own author's journey. Each program helps you discover your own gifts and bring them and your message forward. The Author's Journey. Listen for new episodes on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes. What did you discover? Did you feel that pull, that leaning in, and yes, it's time? There's something I'm called, or there's an urgency to bring forward information, content, insight, something you've discovered, a message. What's pulling at you? And I want to invite you to lean into this conversation, because if you're feeling that pull, it's not just that the information's transformational, it's that it's needed now, not someday, not 3 years from now, but there's a need for it to come forward now. So I want to invite you to lean into what we're talking about today and take a step. And I loved the step that Lois suggested called, start from the heart and just connect and start to write. Just start, create that space, create that time. And she shared the rhythm that she created that worked well for her in carving out that time to write and bring forward. So whatever step today that can help you, we're going to continue our conversation. I want you to take those steps, because I believe the world needs what is being called forth from you in your way, your voice, the way you see it, your perspective, or the way you can receive and share it. So be leaning into that. And we do have a resource center to support you. And I want to make sure all of you know about that. So hopefully you have your paper and pen. And it's called the Emerging Author Series.com. emergingauthorseries.com. It's a set of 9 different mini books, mini chapters that can give you tips and steps and myths and truths about publishing and writing and bringing your book forward and things to be aware of. It gives you really great information. So for those of you who are ready and want to dig into taking some of those next steps and want to know some of that information, we want to make that available. You can also find it on our website at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and there's a button you can click that says Emerging Author Series. So lean in, take as many of those, lean in, receive as many of those as can serve you, because the world needs your message. And I'm just so honored to be talking with Lois about her receiving this unexpected call and this this mission to help humanity. And I love how she just leaned in and said yes. And it's taken her on this journey that has led to creating a beautiful global community, bringing forward multiple books and transformational information in a way that's impacting people's lives, helping them connect, helping shift how we are showing up in the world, how we can show up in the world. And so with that, Lois, I'm just going to dig into that a little bit more with you. And I want to know, so as you said yes, I'm going back to that moment, you said yes. You have this channeled information insight that you're being asked to share with the world. And that led to book one. So do you mind sharing book one? And then how did you know there was more books to come?
Thank you. Yes, there were actually 22 sessions that we recorded over a 2-year period. Before we actually started writing the book, we had all this information and then didn't quite know what to do with it. So we started actually compiling what we decided that was too much information to fit in one book. So we broke it up into 3. And the first book is with the Unquietists, what they call themselves the first 8. And they could only channel through for about, say, 11 to 15 minutes before they would, quote unquote, burn up Gary's energy. And now I also want to comment on anybody that does channeling. You have to be very, very careful. I had one of my key consultants who started the path with me, and then other people who joined me on this journey. I would have someone else be there, clear the space, clear any shadow energy, so that the information that came through was pure. A lot of people dabble with getting channeled messages, and you're not quite sure who you are getting them from. So I had my consultants there who could see that the energy, when Gary's energy would step out, the energy that would come through was a very high-level, pure white light. So you have to be very, very cautious. I really make sure people are aware of that, because one of the things we faced is there's truly a battle of good and evil that is going on in our world, and we fought that. Excuse me, there was a dark side that did not want this information out there. So we had to fight that and learn how to protect and clear and make sure that the information that came through was of the highest value. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that. And then following up with, once we got it all together, the first 11 sessions, doing a check with other people to see, does this make sense to you? How can we explain this better? One of the things in my background coming from corporate America, I have written a lot of textbooks and instruction manuals coming from the ultrasound industry. And so I had worked with writers who explained to me that when you write something, you need to explain anything that could be read by someone who is in a 3rd grade, maybe a 3rd or 4th grade level of reading. Too many people write with very colorful, flowing, high-level, trying to be very intellectual, and it really turns people off or leaves people in their wake. So if you're using some big words, define them, explain them, take your time, and make sure that whatever you're writing, yes, comes from the heart and can be easily explained as if you're talking to a group of young children, so that you're explaining things that people can readily understand, especially when you're dealing with something that's a little bit of a different concept. So the first book, and I'll tell you, I'm glad you're doing this, Rebecca, teaching people, because I could probably do a whole course on what not to do. But that's why I said, you know, I'm so grateful for you. You helped me to be able to get the books published without spending 2 arms and 3 legs. And that was wonderful. And being able to have a network of people that are supporting the project, using your resources, your friends that are supporting the message that you're wanting to get out there. And I would also like to share, if you think that your message is not worth writing about, yet if you're driven to share it, realize somebody needs to hear it. And that's what drove me. I would feel guilty or selfish if I kept all of this amazing information to myself because it wasn't meant for me. Yes, I have used it, and I value the Pathway for Hope from the Unquietus, the Guidelines for Living in the second book with the collective, and then the Archangels in the third book. They gave us a path for empowerment. They gave us such rich information that myself and what I call our Team Hope have done an incredible, grateful embracing of these messages. But I would be remiss if I didn't get them out to the world, because that was what I was asked to do. Please get this message to humanity. I had no idea how to, but when you start asking and praying and opening your heart, people will be placed on your path, and they might take you to the next step. So the first book, when I wrote that and put that out there, I made a lot of mistakes, and yet I got it out there. Remember, practice does not mean perfect. It means permanent. The more you do something, the better you are. The more you practice, the more you get good at it. So you don't have to be perfect as you get that first book out there. Just do what you're called to do. Follow through with people who are placed on your path and learn from it. And as you learn, you say, okay, this is my corporate process improvement mind. What can I do better next time? So in the process of writing the books, they've become more and more fluid, shall I say. It's been easier to write because been there, done that, and now I need to do this differently. How can I create this work more effectively, more efficiently, and less costly? So this is where my beloved Rebecca comes into play. She's just a wealth of knowledge and such a wonderful resource. And you need that. You've got to have somebody that you can turn to and say, does this make sense? Am I on the right path? Do I need to do this differently?
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate your willingness to bring forward and to learn. And you didn't take book one down and keep tweaking it. You let it continue to serve, and then you brought book two forward, and you brought book three forward, and you've let each of them serve as they are. And as your writing and how you bring the information forward evolves and changes and grows and expands, they're all getting to be part of that. But I think sometimes we can go back and we learn some things. Now we go back and we try to apply it to the things we've already shared, and we spend years doing that versus bringing the next thing forward. You know, I look back, and when I first got into radio, it was almost 9 years ago, and I still have some of my all of them, my first shows when I started as a host, and all of the things I learned. And all of the things getting disconnected, and how do you handle that? Or my guests running wild and not knowing how to handle that, or, all the things that you learn and finding your feet and facilitating and leading. Yeah, I leave all of those because they serve too. The journey serves. Wherever we are in that process serves. We don't just wake up suddenly with all of this experience that we can bring forward in a certain format. I'm evolving, and how I'm going to show up a year, 3 years, 10 years from now will be different and evolved, but now serves too. And I think sometimes we forget that, and we keep trying to be perfect. So I love how you were willing to practice, to bring forward, to let it serve, and to continue to bring forward more and more and more. And I love the momentum that's being built. You were sharing with me a little bit behind the scenes how I know you've been part of conferences, and you have had speaking, and you have had the opportunity to all these books in demand that you're sending out, that you're signing, and podcast interviews. So all these beautiful ways of connecting with the world have happened as you step forward. So just any thoughts or comments or suggestions you have around that for our listeners?
Well, one of the things that the Archangels said in the last book was the Archangels. The name of the book is Chronicles of Hope, the Chronicles of Hope series. And one of the things that Archangel Raphael said is, you're not just writing a book. You are in this for life. And that really resonated with me as I was finishing this third book, is that I've created a website. I am putting myself out there in as many ways as I can. And along the way, I was creating a series of quotes on using beautiful little background graphics. And I had different marketing people create them for me. And so I've got all these beautiful graphics that I have posted on social. Well, what I'm doing now is I'm actually creating a training program called the Light Program, Lightworker Energy Integrity Training. And as I'm putting this together, it's dawning on me, because every time I return to the teachings, I learn something new. It's dawning on me that Archangel Michael many years ago had told me, you must ask for protection first, then healing, then empowerment. So I'm developing this training program for light workers who are coming under attack. This is the psycho-spiritual attack that people are not even aware of, that there's a very real battle going on. And we need to arm ourselves with our spiritual armor. A lot of people have thrown out the power of prayer, and they need to get back to some level of connecting with the divine. And in that, he told me, you must ask for protection first, then healing, then empowerment across all levels, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, psychic. And he went on. Well, as I'm developing this training program, it's really designed for light workers, and I consider a light worker anyone who thinks that they're here on a mission to bring some sort of light or hope or joy to humanity. Anyway, book 1 was all about protection, and book 2 was all about healing, and now book 3 is all about empowerment. And I didn't make that connection until I started developing this program, and I'm using all of these beautiful slides, and I'm really pleased with how it's coming out. So that's where I'm. Take the message that you get and use it, and if you're driven to get the message out, the book is one way, but there's many other paths that people will reach out to.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And I always feel like the book is the beginning, that it can create this bridge to applying the information, getting it into people's lives. And the author actually has an opportunity to be a messenger and to be the spokesperson for the book, for the message, and really step into helping it reach people in all different forms and ways. And I know that you have converted your books into audio as well. And I love you have the community you're leading. I love that you are bringing this program forward. And isn't that beautiful how it fits together? It wasn't something you designed. It's something that's unfolded and fits with the information, like it all aligns. I love that, the information you've been given. And something I would encourage listeners to think about is think beyond the book too. So if you're being called to write, to bring a message forward, think about the way you're gifted, the way you're designed. What are the things that you want, the action you want somebody to take as a result of reading the book? And how do you want to be involved or not involved in that? And be deliberate about that as you're bringing your book forward so that they're aligning, they're working synergistically together, and then let it unfold. See what you discover. And it'll be amazing how things will line up. And I loved how you mentioned earlier, Lois, about that person on that journey, that next step, and then the next step. So keep saying yes. Keep leaning in. We are going to our next commercial break. And as we do that, listeners, think about what Lois has said. Think about what is speaking to your heart and what is called beyond the book too. If the book were the beginning, it's the foundation. What's some of the beyond that you feel led and called to bring forward? We'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
Join Rebecca Hall Gruyter every week for her new podcast, The Author's Journey. Spend some time getting to know best-selling expert authors, discuss and listen to their journey, and find out what works for them and what hasn't. If you're an aspiring author, you'll want to hear their amazing tips that help you in your own author's journey. Each program helps you discover your own gifts and bring them and your message forward. The Author's Journey. Listen for new episodes on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you have enjoyed our conversation, that you've gotten some great tips and insights. One of the things I wrote down was the order that Lois shared with us about protection, healing, and then empowerment. And are we really applying that in all areas of our lives? And I love how that has tied everything together as the books have come forward and she's bringing her programs forward, that those are all tying together beautifully. But what an important message all around in our everyday living, that we're remembering to protect ourselves, to have healing and allow healing into our life, and then comes empowerment. So I have just so enjoyed having you on the show today, Lois, and I just wanted to, at a high level, if you could list the 3 books that are in the series that you have shared, and where people can connect, they can learn more, they can go deeper.
Absolutely. So the 3 books in the series, Chronicles of Hope series, the On Quietus is the first one. There are 1 and there are 8, so On Quietus. And that's book 1. And then book 2 is the Collective, which includes a channeled session with Jesus, with Mother Gaia, with universal energy. And it's a very practical. The first book is very more of a high level, how to protect yourself, stories about the 5 great extinctions, historians. They're more historians. Book 2, the Collective, are the beings that are right here with us all the time, and they're giving us information about how to let go of hate and despair and to live a life of being in service and with it, in tandem with people, so that we are one together. And then in book 3, the Archangels, they are they're not featherweights. They're the ones who kind of kicked some of us in the tush and said, you've got to empower yourself to take back what is right and good and fair and equitable in your world. You've allowed the shadow side to take over, and you must stand up. Meek does not mean weak. Meek means that you're coming from a place of truth, honesty, and integrity. You must stand up and stand up for what is right and fair for yourself, your children, and your children's children. So this is a series of books that is designed to help reclaim the positive energy in our world. A lot of talk about energy, shifting energy, and standing in our power.
Beautiful. And what's the best way for people to connect in with you, get more, follow more, get the books themselves? What's the best way for them to do that?
The book itself has its own website, chroniclesofhope.net. There are lots of articles or blogs and excerpts from the books. There's also my own website, Lois Hermann with 2Ns.com. And I would encourage you to subscribe to my newsletter. I typically send it out once a month. But when you subscribe, you get links to all kinds of videos and audios and things that are free just to inspire you on your journey. So I highly encourage people to subscribe to my newsletter. You'll be able to click over to the chroniclesofhope.net website. The books can be purchased on Amazon. I would encourage you to purchase book 1 from me. Amazon is a little delayed at getting book 1 out there, and I have boatloads of book 1 because that was a whole different process. But you can order them from me or from Amazon, and either one is wonderful.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that, and your willingness to say yes to this calling, to bring it forward, to follow where the journey will go, and to stand in that place for so many as a messenger and a person that's really helping people empower, helping them connect, helping them bring forward what can be brought forward, that we can really shift things for humanity. And I appreciate your willingness to stand in that place and to share. So with that, do you have any final thoughts or something that's on your heart to let our listeners know today?
Yes, the whole Just Say Yes process has led me to doing even more work. So I have this calling to bring hope to humanity. And on top of that, I am now called to help the light workers shine their lights most brightly. They are the ones that will be helping to shift the energy on this planet. So if you think you're a light worker and you're stuck in your progress, reach out, please, because we have a team of people who are helping the light workers to shine as brightly as they can, because they are the ones that are bringing our world into this next level of 5D awareness, of higher level consciousness, of beautiful, beautiful hope for our amazing future.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your willingness to say yes, your willingness to support so many light workers around the world, and your willingness to bring this information forward and not just keep it within yourself, but your willingness to spread it far and wide to reach as many hearts and lives as possible. So thank you, Lois, for the amazing work you do. And listeners, I want to thank you for leaning in. I hope that you took some great notes. You got some great tips or a pull on your heart that if you are a light worker, and I believe most authors are, that here's an opportunity to get support on your journey. I hope that you lean into that you say yes, and that you continue the work that you've been called to do and that you've been called to bring forward, because no one else can do it exactly as you are wired and made and designed to do. And the world needs you. They need your voice. They need your message. They need the way you're wired. You're called to bring it forward. But remember to protect yourself too. Take great care of you so that you can keep sharing, you can keep shining. I hope you lean into those resources on there's so many resources here on emergingauthorseries.com, that you lean into as many of those that can support you. And we'll look forward to talking to you next week. Enjoy this week. Lean in, take a few minutes to see what's coming up, carve those minutes out for you, and then step into your day purposely, powerfully, and mindfully. Have an amazing week, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to The Author's Journey. Please join Rebecca Hall Gruyter for another edition of the Author's Journey podcast every Monday on the Voice America Variety Channel. And until we talk again, use some of the tips and inspiration from today's show to guide you as you lean in to bringing your message forward.